Hi guys, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today we're going to complete part 2 of what a tabletop RPG is, and we're going to discuss what a session is and what it looks like. If you stumbled across this and you don't know what an RPG is, check the link above. The link will link you back to the first episode and actually the complete playlist, so you can hit play all or whatever, however you want to do it, and then come back. So typically an RPG session takes into account the fact that you already have a group of people, probably your friends, or maybe someone else, and a storyteller. Or, well, let me rephrase that. You have a group of people. Most of them are players, and one is a GM or the storyteller and the rules arbitrator, or the guy who makes rulings. But every session, and depending on how many sessions there are, the scene might already be set. But every session includes setting the scene. If you are in a session where you're all meeting, you could be meeting at a pub. You could be meeting, in a prison cell. You could be meeting at a court hearing. You're all there attending for some reason. Just about anything. But after that, the story kind of dictates where you're going to meet. And if you want ideas on that, please let me know. Comment below, post below on ideas on how you start your story or how you start every session. Because I find that sometimes that is tricky for people. Setting the scene is often overdone, and it is often underdone. The right balance is something that's somewhat difficult. But with that said, once the scene is set, the GM or the storyteller turns it over to the players for their actions. And then these actions are going to reveal the types of information that the storyteller sees pertinent or sees applicable to the possible situations. There will always be a set of dice rolls, irregardless of what game you play. Dice rolls are, well, that's not true. There are diceless role-playing games. So I just lied to you. Sorry. But anyway, there will be a form of determining how well the characters do based off of their skill sets and how they created their characters and what they were capable of doing. It's not like you're playing Superman. I mean, you can play Superman in some games, but even Superman has his challenges. Otherwise, he wouldn't be heroic. And that is a big part of the idea behind creating characters and their player actions, is to make them feel like they are heroic. In most cases. Some games, I think, you just want to beat them up. And then the GM will respond with what is an appropriate description to a possible task. For example, let's say that you've got a character. I'll give you a couple examples. You've got a character that wants to jump across a chasm. Now, there are a lot of ways to handle this. You can just say, no, you can't do that. Not exactly a very exciting way to make things happen. Let's say it's impossible. You can say something down the lines of, well, you have a lot of doubts about whether or not you can do that. You can make a check to think if you believe in yourself enough to do that. And if you pass this check, you can go ahead and do it. Because that is building character for the player. They might not like that answer, but let them make the check. And then, irregardless of whether they pass that check or not, however you set the difficulty, you can let them make it, the attempt. Then you get to describe how badly they failed. With that said, you can't have failure without consequences. You can't. There has to be some kind of description that moves the story forward. That's your job as a GM. Likewise, when the players pass something, you allow them to describe it. Or, maybe you describe it for them if that character isn't interested in it at the moment. And then typically the session is going to go back and forth like this. There's going to be a series of acts where your player characters, your players' player characters, are going to be the ones that are up on stage or on the radio podcast telling the story. Even though there's an outline for you to follow and a story for you to follow, it doesn't matter how many times you play it. It'll never be the same twice. That's one of the beauties of how a role-playing session works. You can have, we're going to use some generic stuff. You can have, let's say, a squad of U.S. Marines. So you've got a company sergeant, maybe a company commander of some type, a lieutenant, and then everybody else is ranked underneath that. So you have the hierarchy there, right, of how orders are given out. And then they follow orders or they don't follow orders based off of what they're told to do. But let's say the next time you play this, it's a group of civilians. They're going to react and be able to complete things very differently. That's the beauty of what role-playing sessions do. Now, when I said earlier, setting the scene, that scene can change several times in an average role-playing session, because in almost every time I play, it's a 4-hour session. And that's setting the scene and how a typical session works. It's a story told by game master and players, where mechanics help determine the outcomes of what player characters do and what the antagonists do. And with that result, there's a wrestling match that creates tension to tell a better story. That's basically how a typical RPG session works. Next time, which will probably be the final session for what is a TTRPG, which is a tabletop role-playing game, we are going to discuss why people play TTRPGs, which ones are popular, and I'm going to base this off of how many events were played at Gen Con. And I'll give you a link to the gentleman who actually did this work for me. How to get started, choosing your game, and bringing it all together at the table. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Please, if you made it this far, you're interested in this channel, like, subscribe, and share.
Hi guys, meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know. You're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.